All right. Moving on to step three, market research from the step three. 3.1 Model Step 3. Market research is required by the FAR's Part 10 of the vital means of the arming of the acquisition team knowledge and the need to conduct an effective performance-based service. The question, this is a time the information helps determine the suitable of the marketplace for the satisfying a need requirement. Market research is a continuous process collecting information to maximize reliance of commercial marketplace and to benefit from its capabilities, technology, competitive force, and meeting an agency's need. Market research is an essential process in enabling the government to buy the best value products of the services to solve the mission critical problems. Appendix D also provides a list of helpful sites as you are conducting the market research. 3.1 Take up the theme and the approach of the market space. Market research. The ultimate goal of the market research is to help the acquisition team become informed consumers and they understand the cost of the drivers to provide with the service, the research, the leverage that the team may discover in the marketplace that could affect them in both the requirement and the business strategy. It helps acquisition teams to optimize the strategy for meeting with the requirements. And since the market research should address both business and technical consideration of requirement, it requires the active participation of all acquisition team members as appropriate. Market research should be done before developing a new requirement documents for soliciting any offers of the simplified acquisition threshold, soliciting officers under the simplified acquisition threshold when adequate information is not available, cost of the conduct the research is justified, solicitation officers acquisition that could lead to bundled contract. The FARS 210.001. This is not unusual for the technical staff to conduct the market research about the marketplace offerings while the contracting staff conducts market research with a focus on industry and practices and pricing. However, the better approach for the conducting market research is for an entire acquisition team to be part of an effort that enables the members of the team to share the understanding and knowledge of the marketplace, developing a common understanding of what the features, schedules, terms, conditions are key of their project success. The team should consider such factors: urgency, estimated dollar value, complexity, past experience as guidelines for determining the amount of the team of resource to invest the efforts. Do not invest more resources, lead time, available personal money, and than are warranted by the potential benefits. In addition, when acquiring services under the simplified acquisition threshold, conduct market research with adequate information is not available. The circumstances justify the cost of such research. 3.2 Determining data source. Acquisition history has not been given the whole picture needed for the planning of the specific acquisition, particularly if the commercial practice and technology to deliver the services are changing rapidly, where they may be many times when the information is not adequate, such as the first time purchases rapidly change, technology changes the market capability as also not known sources indeterminate with identified with the scope extent of the additional research needed. You should follow these steps. Review information already in hand, include your personal knowledge of the marketplace for the prior requirements, finding of the recent research of the like requirements, identifying the information deficiency sources for the additional information plan, the collection of additional market information, i.e. when and how during the acquisition, acquisition planning, pre-solicitation, and solicitation evaluation phases. 3.3 To develop a standardized interview guide. The reason for the critical conduct market research is entire the acquisition team. It makes it easier for each of the members of the team know his or her responsible during the step. Determine who will do and what and by when. If the team begins with making calls to visiting, provided with having the standardized interview guide may also help provide accuracy, consistency. Try not to ask questions that will provide a yes or no response. The interview guide should ask the experience they have provided in this series. 3.4 Conducting market research. 3.4 Customers. 3.4.2 Considering one-on-one meetings with the industry. 3.4.3 Looking for the existing contracts. 3.4 Conduct the market research. While many of them familiar with examining private sector sources, the solution as a market research looking for the public sector is not a common practice. Yet it makes a great deal of the sense for several levels. First, there is an increased interest in the cross-agency cooperation and collaboration. Sector agencies with similar needs may be able to provide lessons learned and best practices. So important that for acquisition teams to take all their counterparts in the other agency, take all the time to do so to help avert problems so that they could otherwise arise in the acquisition. Other resources include state local governments that are experienced in procuring certain services that have not been procured by the federal government. 3.4.1 The customer. A wealth of information can be obtained with the customer and prospective contractors regarding how well the contractor performs, depth of competition, the relatable quality of the product of the service, the price that they may have been paid, the delivery terms, the conditions, incentive provisions. 3.4.2 Consider on one-on-one meetings with the industry. One-on-one with the industry leaders are not only permissible by the reference FARS 15201, they are highly encouraged. Note that when the market research is conducted before the solicitation of the program, the program work statement is drafted as the rules of the different FARs 15201. F states the general information about the agency mission needs the further requirements may be disclosed at any time as long as the requirements have not or should not have been defined. Disclosure of the procurement sensitive information is not an issue. Focus for your market research on commercial industrial best practices, performance of metrics, measurements, initiative delivery methods for the required services and incentive programs that have been found particularly effective. This type of research can expand with the range of potential solutions change with the very nature of the acquisition establishment for the performance-based approach to represent the agent's first step on the way to the implementing an effective, meaningful, incentivized business relationship with the contractor. 3. Looking for existing contracts. Although the review of the acquisition history of the current prior the contractor for the similar items have determined the type of the market information needed for the particular acquisition. FARS Part 10 describes the techniques for conducting market research. This includes querying for the government-wide database of the contract's other procurement instruments intended for the use of the multiple agencies available at www.contractdirectory.gov or /contract directory. Other government commercial databases that provide information relevant to the agency's acquisition. 3.5. Requesting information from the service providers with the regard for the traditional private sector market research. It is important to the knowledge about commercial officering capabilities practices before structuring the acquisition in any detail. The today's market is vital. Understanding how to provide secure sectors buyers structure the requirements business deals while buying similar services, whether it's facility management, food services, consulting, support major companies, but most of the same services we do. Unlike the public sector, the private sector must sustain their competitive advantage through effectiveness. The more we do understand how and why industry buys the way that they do, the better we can create an innovative requirement packages solutions that will improve the performance and reduce the cost. Traditional ways to identify that we can deliver the required services are issued as sources sought. Notice that the federal business opportunities conduct the industry days that issue requirements for the information hold re-solicitation conferences. Also consider reviewing the current federal business opportunities solicitations. It also okays to pick up the phone and call a private sector company representative, contact with the vendors, suppliers for the purpose of the market research, encouraged and far as specifically promoted with the exchanging information among all interested parties for the earliest information for a requirement. The receipts of the proposal. Once the solicitation has been issued, the procurement is underway. The treatment of the potential officers must be fair and impartial. Standard procurement integrity must be maintained. So the real key is to be market research earlier before the procurement action is underway. That's FARS 15201 and FARS 3.104. 3.6. Analyzing the market research. Once the market research is completed, it is now time to analyze the information data accumulated. This also is the task of the entire acquisition team. Some of these things to consider the market research analyzed are the opportunities for the competition, small business consideration, direct your market research review, and any new emerging technologies. Sometimes market research can review things in market trend, supply, demand, which can provide with the leverage during negotiation. One of the market research analyzing the time of its documented your findings. Step 3.7. Documenting market research trends. The market research report of the document prepared for after all information has been compiled is to provide a summary of the market research activities. Should provide with a logical basis for the supporting your business strategy, such as commercial service acquisition, full open competition, small business set aside. FARS 10.002E encourages agencies to document the research results of the market research in a manner appropriate to the size and complexity of the acquisition. The amount of research of the common traits of the size complexity critical of the acquisition. You should always check with the local business for additional requirements that may not be listed. Your market research can be help build the business case for the change of how you approach your requirement and support your decision on the acquisition approach. Remember that it's easier to comply with all information gathering during your market research into one of the documents that will include the contract file. Step 4. Requirement definitions.